Yeah, hi. So my name is Ragnar. I'm the brand manager of Eve Echoes.
So, for people who don't know what Eve Echoes is, kind of give a brief description about what this game's all about. It's different from Eve Online.
Sure. Eve Echoes takes place in an alternative universe to Eve Online. It's still, you get the same feeling and the experience from playing Eve Online. So it's essentially a Eve Online version on a mobile phone.
Yeah, I mean, and it really is. I just got done playing it at one of your tables, and it really is like a definitive Eve experience on your mobile device.
Yeah, I mean, basically we've handed NetEase, who's our partner in this, we've handed them all our source code, all of our assets. They've done an amazing job of building the game from scratch, and just like, you really get the same experience from playing Eve Online. They have amazing graphics, like a lot of the similar features, but they're still optimizing this for mobile phones. So yeah, it's overall, I would say it's a great experience.
Now, just so there's no confusion, like if you play Eve Online, your data doesn't get transferred over to Echoes. Echoes is a completely standalone game, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So like the two universes are not connected. So each of them has their own single charge. So all of the Eve Echoes players, they'll be playing at the same time on their own servers.
So how do the servers work specifically in Eve Echoes?
You'd probably have to ask the NetEase guys about that.
Okay. So talk about some of the things that are different in Eve Echoes compared to Eve Online.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, first off the bat, like, you will probably see and experience the same things that when you open up the game. But like, there are certain small elements that they have changed and managed to do quite efficiently. So, when you're playing EVE Online, you'll notice the overview right away when you start flying. The overview is, of course, not a thing that you can have on a mobile device open at all times. So they've added that into a button where you've simplified the view of it. You have sort of an auto lock feature, so you can quickly lock onto your targets. And another feature that I've found to be very much improved on the mobile device is sort of the planetary interaction. When you're doing planetary interaction in EVE Online, you have to sort of gather resources, you have to build structures, find planets, and harvest those resources from planets and go get them. In Echoes, it's more of like an idle game within the game, so everyone from get-go can go harvest resources from these planets and then start collecting them. So that's just a couple of features, but like overall they're really looking into kind of trying to improve all of the aspects so it fits with the mobile device.
So what are some of the challenges? Because like I don't want to see EVE Online. I mean, any game is complicated if you don't know how to play it, but EVE Online is a complicated game, and for mobile gamers, you want to take a more casual approach so they can jump right in and understand how it works. How are you making it easier for new big gamers who've never played an EVE game to jump into Echoes and understand what's going on?
That's a really good question. So now, as we enter the open beta, we're going to be introducing new player experience and the tutorials. And the game is definitely more mobile friendly. And one of the things that I've heard from people that have played both, they've sort of told me like, hey, it's actually a bit easier to get into this game. Sort of like EVE Online, of course, has a lot of features because they've been building those into the game for over like quite a lot of time. But in EVE Echoes, sort of, you don't have all of the things thrown at you at once, so you get a bit of a time to kind of experience the game, go easy into certain aspects of the game, and then you sort of get more established as you go on.
EVE Online is a global game. It's played all over the world. What are some of the challenges when making a game or just working as a brand manager for the game that extends over countries and continents and languages?
I mean, you definitely have sort of like the culturalization of each country. So you have to think about like, okay, what can we do with China, Russia, German? We have to think about all of those things, and of course it can be yeah, sort of like how do you engage the community in each of those countries? But most people have mobile devices. I think this is going to be like a really easy transition for people to get into EVE Echoes because of this. So, we support most devices, and the game looks really good on most devices. So I think people will have a pretty easy time of getting into EVE Echoes.
So can you talk about how CCP and NetEase work together to create this unique mobile experience?
Yeah, so we started working together about like 2 years ago, and NetEase is one of the best mobile developers and publishers in the world. So once that partnership started establishing, we handed them all the source code, we handed them all the assets, and they simply structured this from working through their own game engine called NeoX. So through that, they've been able to kind of recreate this experience on mobile, and personally, I find that they're doing an amazing job of doing it.
EVE Online has a massive community. I mean, and it goes way. I mean, your game goes way above mod community. You guys have like in-game, like I'm doing quotation marks, board members like that are community driven that make the decisions and then take them to you directly as like a democratic vote. And you have like guilds that pirate people, guilds that protect people, mercenaries that get hired to protect people. Do you expect the same kind of community to grow and thrive in EVE Echoes?
Yeah, and that is, I think, one of the most interesting things about this. Essentially, you're having like a world reset of EVE. So, like, you're actually able to go in there and, like, if you're a veteran EVE player, you'll have sort of a advantage because you know the game mechanics. But like, it's still a bit, it's different. Like, you have to carve out your own piece of space, and I think that is going to be really interesting to see. Like, what's going to happen? Are we going to see corporations from EVE Online move into EVE Echoes, and they're gonna Are they gonna try to get their own systems that they already have, or are they gonna try to capture some other parts of space that they've seen that are very lucrative? So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. And one of the things that we did in the alpha test is sort of like we tested the fleet fights. We wanted to see like how many players can jump into a fleet fight, and we had hundreds of players playing at the same time in fleets on comms within EVE Echoes. So those things are entirely possible within EVE Echoes just as well as EVE Online.
I think it's a great experience too, because EVE Online, if you like me, I mine. So like I'm watching Netflix and just mining, and then if someone tries to mess with me, I have to pay attention. But it's so much easier to play on a mobile phone, to be in my living room on my couch next to my wife watching a movie, and I could do the same thing essentially, because it essentially is very similar to the core game.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, it's quite easy sitting either with your phone or a tablet, just watching a movie and then doing your own mining. Unfortunately, I did the same thing, and then I stepped away from the iPad and I came back and like I was blown up by a player. So like, just be rest assured that can happen in EVE Echoes as well. So I mean, we're entering the open beta at the end of the year. We will be doing that on both iOS and Android, and the soft launch will happen on next year. And those will, the game will be available on both platforms at the same time.
There's also another platform that has touchscreen compatibility and is mobile. It's called the Nintendo Switch. Any plans to release Echoes on Nintendo Switch?
Good question. At the moment, we're only focusing on Android and iOS, but who knows what will happen.